Ambassador Pampaloni for the good work. We had high-level meetings with representatives of the Gambian government and parliament, namely with His Excellency Mamadou Tangara, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Dada Jallow, the Minister of Justice, and with the Speaker of the National Assembly, Mr. Babakari Jatta, the Deputy Speaker, Mr. Sidi Nije, as well as leaders of the political majority and the opposition. Later this afternoon, we will meet with Mr. Abu Bakar Suleiman Jeng, the National Security Advisor of the Gambia, as well as with Mr. Emmanuel Job, Chair of the Human Rights Commission. It has certainly been a real pleasure to be here in Banjul and to have the opportunity to hold fruitful exchanges with government representatives and parliamentary counterparts, as well as with representatives of civil society. This morning, our delegation also paid a visit to the Fandema Foundation in Tujureng to see how the financial support of the EU is supporting, in this case, young women in the Gambia. Our partnership with the Gambia is highly valued. We see the Gambia as a solid and reliable partner. The European Union has supported the Gambia from the very first hour of its democratic transition process starting in 2017. Our support, both financial and political, to the ongoing consolidation of democracy, national reconciliation, and socio-economic developments remains unchanged. Let me also underline that the Gambia is one of the countries that will benefit from the EU's Global Gateway projects to improve the infrastructure along the Praia-Dakar-Abidjan corridor. During our visit to Banjul, we have discussed various topics of mutual interest. Allow me to briefly highlight 4 of them. First, we focused on current geopolitical and regional challenges and our political cooperation within this context. One prominent geopolitical issue, as you are aware, is the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine, which has now been ongoing for more than 1 year. Though the battles are fought in Ukraine, the consequences of this aggression are felt all around the world. The energy and food crisis are the most evident and direct result, felt strongly also in African countries. In our meetings, we have discussed our shared understanding that Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine is a blatant violation of the United Nations Charter and its international rules-based order. We made it clear that this war is a brutal attack on the most fundamental values and democratic principles and should be a matter of deep concern to all. Let me underline that I welcome the Gambia's like-minded stance on solidarity with Ukraine, including at the level of the United Nations. Our shared interest in the necessity to uphold a multilateral system based on rules is a valued element that underpins our partnership. The second point. On regional dynamics in West Africa and the Sahel, we expressed our concern posed by the threats to stability, security, and democracy that some countries in the region face, and the profound regional and international consequences these challenges have. Cooperation between the European Union and ECOWAS countries on matters of security, development, humanitarian and democracy support assistance for peace and security across the region are key. Thirdly, we also discussed the progress the Gambia has already made and the steps it continues to undertake in the process of democratic consolidation. We reiterated our support to the Gambia in its efforts towards implementing pending reforms that will help the country complete this important process. We encourage and we stand by the Gambia in achieving important milestones, namely the long-pending constitutional reform, as well as the security sector reform. We hope to see the Gambia achieve its objectives through political commitment and cross-party dialogue in an inclusive consultation process, including with civil society, to the benefit of all citizens of this great country. And finally, a fourth remark on transitional justice. We took note of the ongoing work towards setting up to look forward to seeing the recommended measures of the white paper implemented, including the setting up of a special prosecutor's office and a hybrid court in partnership with ECOWAS. We express our strong hopes that the Gambia's efforts and commitment to the process will in the end result in sustainable reconciliation and guarantees for non-recurrence for all. It is our shared understanding that the fight against this trend should be continued at multilateral level. Let me underline that there can be no impunity for human rights violations and crimes against humanity. We noted in this regard the Gambia's active interest to promote human rights issues on an international level, including through its case against Myanmar at the International Court of Justice. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, I would like to express once again my gratitude to our hosts in the Gambia for their hospitality and all the fruitful exchanges. Thank you very much. And now we can take some questions. I would suggest the easy questions for me and your difficult questions go to the ambassador. First of all, we made a very deliberate decision to visit the Gambia because the European Parliament has closely been witnessing the developments in this country. And as I underlined, it was the European Union and especially the European Parliament that from the very first hour were willing to provide political and financial support to the Gambian democratic transition and the national reconciliation process in 2017. And I think that the Gambia has made real progress in recent years. That's positive. And we stand ready and we stand by the Gambia in accelerating on the path of reforms in line with the clear and predictable plan of roadmaps. I think now it's about turning political will into concrete action for consolidating democracy in the country. On the security sector reform, the security sector reform is an expected milestone on the path of democratic consolidation. We noted that the coup attempt in December last year is a matter of concern and that it has shown the urgency to advance on ambitious, inclusive and transparent security sector reform. That was one of our messages in dealing with our Gambian counterparts. On the migration issue you mentioned, this was also mentioned by some of our interlocutors. I think we should acknowledge the improvements made by the Gambia in 2022 as regards cooperation on returns and readmission. For example, lifting the moratorium on chartered return flights, returning operational cooperation with several chartered return flights organized by EU member states, and that the European Union now expects that in this year, 2023, the Gambia will continue improving its cooperation so that the situation can rapidly be reassessed. We are fully aware of the sensitivities around this issue, and I think we as Europeans should definitely acknowledge the improvements that have been made last year. If these improvements continue in 2023, then I think the Member States and the Commission will be ready to reassess the situation.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. I think that the chair almost covered all the items. What I may add, because you reference to the conference to the Gambia, the pledges, etc. I want to stress that yes, there were much more pledges than what actually happened after in terms of investment, but the pledge of the European Union has been highly maintained. If you think from 2017 to now, the investment of the European Union in the Gambia for the development, but also to accompany the transition has been one of the highest investments that is done in the world, which is 500 million euros spread over from 2017 to now. Yes, as the chair said, there are things that need to be done, but also things that have been achieved by the government and by our collaboration with the government. As you know, the TACIP program was a success. It was a great creator of jobs, specifically in entrepreneurship. We have tackled all the issues that went through the Gambian period, from COVAX to yesterday we were making a little bit to the count the European Union as a whole. The member states of the European Union have donated almost 1 million vaccine doses to the country through the COVAX method. But also we have worked with the youth, we have worked with the returnees, and we have worked with the youth that is fragile and subject to potential migration. Let's not forget that migration, it is indeed a right, but it must be done following certain international rules. And it has to be taken into account that it is not worth to lose so many lives in the backwater, like it happens, when there are legal ways to migrate. And not only that, but the smugglers are criminals. They don't care about life, they care about the money that people give. So we should all work together to discourage this kind of migration. Because it's very risky, it doesn't pay off, because an unskilled person in Europe will never be able to find a decent job. So it's not that paradise that people believe in. We are working 360 degrees, not only because I know the press echoes very much when a plane lands with the refugees, etc. But it is not only that. There is a big investment behind to help the youth to grow in a healthy environment, in a conducive environment to development. And there is also we help also the refugees once they are here. So it's not that we just drop them here and then let's forget about them. So it's a problem for everybody, but we are all trying to do our best to deal with that. And then I don't think there is. I think right. So the question for me was my assessment on the pledges. Well, my assessment is quite good, I must say. The projects that we fund are projects that we control as well. It's not that we just give the money away and we don't. There are different types of approach for our system to the cooperation for development in any country. One is the project approach, and the other is the budget support. The budget support is a contract with the state and where we define the goals of this contract. For example, if we want to tackle the transition to democracy and we want to specifically tackle the PRRC, the constitutional reform, the security sector reform, we made a discussion with the government and we said, okay, we are ready to transfer such amount of money, provided that you deliver these goals. If they agree, then the transfer, I make it very simple, but the transfer is done, and throughout the period that is needed between the disbursement and the gift, we engage in conversation and in debate, but also in committees, in formal committees that are meant to address the governance problems at stake. We have always kept into consideration in this moment, since 2017, that the state, as inherited by this presidency, was destroyed. Maybe it doesn't appear very much on the public, but the country that has been led by a dictator for many years, there is, in that country, there is only one person who takes the decision. The ministers, the state structure, the civil servants are just serving that person. So this creates a working environment that is not the same working environment of a democratic state. So the state has been engaged for many years now, since 2017, to reform all this. But you know, it's a culture of working that is not very easy to change. So there are still things that need to be achieved, etc. But since my arrival, I find the things that need to be much better. When I arrived, there was no information that was shared among the teams. Now this works. It's creating inter-service communications and so on and so forth. And then there are capacities as well. You know, yesterday I was listening to the radio that there is one doctor per 10,000 inhabitants in the Gambia. So there is a lack of capacity, and when you talk about doctors, you can talk also about the clerks. It's the same amount of money. So capacity needs to be enhanced and improved. Then this is for what regards our direct relation, contractual relation with the state. Things can be better and will be better because we trust that we will address together a lot of those issues. Then we work also with the civil society, we work with the NGOs, we work with institutions, independent institutions like the human rights institutions. And of this work we cannot only have other than a very good opinion because things are going very well. Our projects, our investments are doing big improvements every day. We have here also our head of cooperation that is very much in touch. That's actually quite a happy man working here in the Gambia. So for what concerns our investment, I think that we are in control and we are happy. Thank you.
Okay, I can be brief. One of the reasons why we travel abroad as parliamentarians is that we also have the task as European Parliament, as parliamentarians, to scrutinize how European taxpayers' money is being spent, because we are giving to our EU delegation on the ground and our partner organizations the taxpayers' money. My impression is, after these 2 days, that on the one hand, the money the European Union has invested in the democratic transition process is definitely well invested. I mean, we are very happy to see the positive developments in this country, and we really appreciate the improved relations between the Gambia and the European Union. If it comes to financial support, apart from supporting the democratic transition process, we have here projects of tourism, agriculture, food systems, transport and human development. That's why we made the effort to drive nearly an hour today outside Banjul to have a look at a concrete project, how young women are supported in achieving labor skills, and also how we can see efforts to reduce the production of waste in the Gambia and to foster solar energy, which absolutely makes sense. So we have a positive impression of the way the money here is spent. And on the other issue I raised, I can only once again say there were concerns on both sides. There was a lack of cooperation on returns and readmissions by the Gambian authorities, but things are improving. They have improved in 2022, and if they continue to improve in 2023, I certainly believe that the situation can, and let me add, should be rapidly reassessed. I understand how important this issue is for the citizens of the Gambia. It has been addressed in a number of conversations we have had, and I will also have a closer look at this myself, and I will, as a sum up of this trip, also ask the Commission how the process is going in 2023. So we got the message, that's for sure. We had meetings with the Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Deputy Speaker, with representatives of the majority and the opposition, and we are not in a position to get in any kind of way involved into domestic politics of the Gambia. This is up to politicians and the parliamentarians in your country to sort this out. But what we would like to do as European Union, especially as European Parliament, and with good cooperation with the National Assembly, is to encourage, on the one hand, and to stand by the Gambia in achieving important milestones, namely the long-pending constitutional reform, as well as the security sector reform, which has already been addressed. And when it comes to the constitutional reform, in the end, we can only hope to see the Gambia achieve its objectives through political commitment and cross-party dialogue. The majority and the opposition, the government and the parliament, they need to get together. This needs to be an inclusive consultation process, and our advice would always be to include civil society representatives. That was also a topic of our meeting this morning, exactly in this room. And constitutional reform is always a complicated process, lots of things to consider. Also here, with our legal expertise, with our constitutional expertise, and we have so many different national constitutions in Europe, so we know exactly what the checks and balances need to look like. If there's interest from the Gambian side, we are of course ready to give any kind of support. But once again, this is a process which in the end has started, needs to be finalized in the Gambia. But the Gambian people should know that we in the European Union consider us as being a trusted partner of the Gambia. We are ready to give support if we are asked. Ambassador?
Yes, I mean, I cannot but support what the chair said. Of course, our perspective is closer because we work with them on a daily basis. But the principle remains the same. We accompany a process. We don't impose a process. We cannot substitute ourselves to the choices that are the choices of the country. So we are working on the constitution. We are funding, as you know, international idea that is working on the draft, for example. We will be aside the Gambia on the transitional justice. So when the general prosecutor will be nominated, that he will ask a donor conference, we will be there ready to help the process. We are mindful that there is not only the criminal process to address, there are other items that need to be addressed, like reconciliation, memorialization, and the reparation. And this is the task.
Perhaps one addition. We came here to listen. To listen. And I don't think there's any demand in this country to be lectured. We came here to listen. And if we are asked for advice, then we should give advice. But first of all, we need to be asked. At least that's an attitude we have developed in the Foreign Affairs Committee across party lines, because we know that I guess not all visitors from Europe and other countries are only merely here to listen.
Please see. So what concerns the reparations is the classic task of the state. We are behind that. We are accompanying. We are ready to exchange opinions, but we are not directly involved. As for the reparations per se, we have not been asked anything, so we cannot say, well, yes, this can be done, this cannot be done. This is a very important aspect of the state as well.
Well, I can say in general that I would like to emphasize the European Union's support for a democratic consolidation process. I would encourage swift progress on the reforms that are very much needed to advance in this process, including on constitutional justice. There's certainly a need for clear timelines and roadmaps for the reform process. During our meetings, we inquired about the steps taken on transitional justice, notably on implementing the white paper issued in 2022, including on the awaited implementation plan.
Yes, I can only reiterate that we stand ready to step in with the other donors. When the special prosecutor will be nominated, we have been told that the conference for the donors will be organized, and that is where each one will receive his own task. And we will follow the indication of the government, but we have already decided that we will have the government. It's something that we do on a regular basis. Also in the tribunal for who was Hissène Habré in Senegal, we helped the government of Senegal to organize and to pay for some of the expenditures, and we will do the same here together with the other governments.
Well, I mentioned the four main topics. We asked questions about the process of the transitional justice, the democratic reforms, but since we are the Foreign Affairs Committee, let me also once again underline that we in the European Union have positively taken note of the Gambia's clear stance on the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine. This shows us that we in the EU, the 27 member states, with our Western partners, that we share the same values as the Gambia, that we are defending more multilateral, international rules-based order. yesterday because this is, as you can imagine, very important. So, but self-praise is no recommendation. But I think it's fair to say that the European Union has shown in recent years that we are really ready to support the Gambia as a trusted partner, and we will continue to do so. And that's why some people might have asked questions in Brussels. Why is the Foreign Affairs Committee of the European Parliament sending a cross-party delegation to a country in Western Africa, a small country in Western Africa? And I must say, after 2 days, it was the absolute right decision, because here you can tell, you can see a positive development. And now I also understand what it means if people say that in Gambia people smile. That is something which we have noticed the last 2 days, and I wish that many, many Gambians can smile, because you're great people. You're great people and a great country, and if we can continue to support you, we will be happy to do so.
And you can tell.
Not everyone.
No,
The last word is for you.
Can we accept the last question, the very last one?
Very, very last.
No? Okay. So I would like to thank David McAllister and the other 5 members of the APEC group of the European Parliament because they came here during a very delicate moment of the country. There are still 2 elections to go on. There is the constitution to be approved, and they came and they showed the support and the interest of the European Union, of the citizens of the European Union through them, of what is happening here. I am very happy. Yesterday evening we were discussing a little bit our business. I was really joyful to understand that they like here so much. Maybe they heard that the Gambia is called the Smiley Coast of Africa, but they probably didn't realize until they came here how pleasant it is to stay in this country. So it was a successful mission, I can say it. And we thank all the Gambians we met, including me now at the last event until now, and we look forward to continue to work with the country and with you.
Your country has another fan. And I think not only myself, but also the other members of our delegation, we were all very impressed. And the final point, I know that sometimes my name is a bit misleading, McAllister. I am of British origin, but I am a German politician, because unfortunately the British left the European Union a few years ago, but that's another story, and it certainly isn't a success story. But we're not going to go into details here. That's why I just saw Deutsche Welle, so I'm a German.
Thank you.